And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast, a podcast chock full of everything nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more, where we chat with our favorite celebrities about our nostalgic VHS days and movie commentaries. I'm your host, Carlos. This episode, you're in big trouble, mister, as we get into the 90s cultural phenomenon that was the Olsen Twins, and who better to go through the history of this phenomenon than someone who lived, breathed, and was the specific demographic for these twins is my beautiful and awesome wife, Sara.
Where my girls at? Hey!
From the front to back.
Can you feel that?
Well, welcome back. You were here just a couple episodes, and now you're back. You had such a long stint of being gone, and now you're almost back to back.
Yeah, don't get used to it. But it's kind of fun.
It is. I felt you'd definitely be perfect for this because you've referenced many of Olsen Twins videos, movies, and memorabilia.
I pretty much lived and breathed it, like you said.
Yeah,
I believe they're maybe the same age as I am.
At 86, so that you're
a year older. I
Yeah.
should have known that. I think that sounds really familiar. I was obsessed with the Olsen
So
Twins.
yeah, you're definitely right in that target demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you were part of the clan that owned like all the movies or just some of them.
Shoot. I feel like that was back in the day where ABC Family was like fresh and new, maybe?
So they were still just showing them on TV?
Maybe. I feel like I watched them on TV. I don't feel like I own them. I could be very wrong, but I did watch it. What I did own is the singles.
Oh, okay.
That was my jam. I just remember like rolling through my kitchen singing the brother for sale, only 50 cents, and like really meant it. I
They
have
made a
two
killing on those,
brothers
yeah.
that I was willing to sell for $1. Anybody come pick them up, like done deal. So I really enjoyed the cassette music as well. That was definitely in my walkie-talkie, or not the walkie. What's the Walkman?
Yeah.
The cassette Walkman. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was definitely something that I know that younger sisters, like, of my friends, we'd go over there and their sister would be watching, one of these Olsen Twins VHSs, or, like you said, rocking out one of their songs, which they weren't really great singers. They just sang.
They were
songs.
excellent singers. They sound exactly like me. We were like 6 years old. We
I
all
think that
sounded
was-
the same.
That was the most relatable. That's why they sold so many, is because they weren't like like
My poor
some
mom.
talented singer.
I can only imagine like picking us up for. I literally listened to that song so many times. So many times.
Well, were you always looking back at your brothers every time you'd sing it?
I would definitely. I probably would sell them for a little bit more than $1 today, but yeah, I had
inflation.
some vengeance behind my voice when I was singing it for sure.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's why we're here. We're going to talk about the evolution of this whole phenomenon of the Olsen Twins, because in the 90s, it was just like you had Pee Wee Herman, you had all these culture icons, but you had the Olsen Twins as well. Everyone knew who they were.
They may have done some drugs, but nobody really knows about it. Like they were able to stay out of the spotlight.
Yeah. Well, we may get into that at some point, but yeah, we're gonna go into the history of the Olsen Twins, into the phenomenon that was them. So I guess they were born in Sherman Oaks, California, to Dave and Jarnette Olsen, which is quite the name.
I wonder,
Jarnette.
is it Janet and like Lisette?
They had
together?
Jarny as a nickname, so I'm not sure.
No, I bet it's like
what origin it could be. Yeah,
Icelandic.
maybe.
Yeah.
I think Norwegian of some sort.
Something. They are pale. They are blonde hair. They have blue or green eyes. They're Icelandic.
And so they're the twins are would you say dyskotic twins? They are the two offspring produced by the same pregnancy. If anybody was ever confused.
I'm confused.
Well, because people would
Do
say
we need to have a lesson?
they were fraternal. People would say they're fraternal, which is weird. It's not. That's not what it is. And then their siblings. They have an elder brother, Trent, a younger sister who's the actress Elizabeth Olsen, who's Scarlet Witch in the Marvel's Avengers, as well as half sister Courtney, Taylor, and half brother Jake.
Quite the clan.
Yeah, I always thought Eric Christensen Olsen, who spells the name the same. I always thought that was their brother because they kind of look the same. He was from Dumb and Dumberer.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Prequel Dumb and Dumber, and he was in Not Another Teen Movie.
No.
If you saw his face, you'd know. He's a little bit
just like Josh Duhamel the other night.
Yeah, I told Josh Duhamel and who's the other guy?
The guy from Deadwood.
Timothy Oliphant. Mm-hmm. They look similar, and
but not him in Deadwood though. Like I couldn't get that one in Deadwood.
Maybe not. But
moving on.
So yes, Eric Christian Olsen. I thought that was their brother, but he's not. He's not part of the Olsen clan. But Elizabeth Olsen is. She kind of came into her own last few years. She's
pretty cute. She's like, so here's how I feel about Elizabeth Olsen. I really, really, really like Dakota Fanning. I really, really like the Olsen twins. I don't know how I feel about their younger, like, better, like, I don't know.
Well,
I go for the OGs.
Do you remember seeing her in anything else? Like
Dakota Fanning?
No.
He looks like so disappointed.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
I just kind of always remember like when I was all up in the Tiger Beats and like all of that. So she was like always in the background. It's kind of like Britney Spears' little sister. So it's always about like the little sister. So it was like Britney Spears' little sister, Ashley Simpson,
was it like Jamie Lynn
Jessica
Spears?
Simpson. Yeah. So
they all
like
had younger sisters.
it was all about like the
made
child prodigy and then like the younger, like Avril Lavigne probably has a little sister, Lindsay Lohan's little sister. So I was not all about it. I mean, she's talented and really pretty, but I'm all about the OGs.
Was she on those like the Teen Bop? And
I have no idea. I don't know. I have no. You know how much I pay attention.
Well, that's what I was wondering because she kind of like I'm sure she was like coming up in a few like shows or movies or something before she landed the Marvel Avengers role. But
but I'm sure it was like Disney. Like they all go back and do Disney stuff because that's the only thing they can land.
That's true.
Yeah.
And of course, living off that family fortune, which we'll get into, I'm sure she didn't really have to do much.
Or she could have on her resumes like a bunch of plays. Or she definitely has a name drop, and I would drop those names.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty young family. They were only 6 months years old. 6 months. 6 months years old.
Yes, we have no children.
So yeah,
you are 122 years old today, which that makes sense.
So yes, in 1987, they were 6 months. But they were. This is when they were cast in the as Michelle Tanner in the ABC classic Full House.
Iconic role.
Very iconic. The mother had been sending pictures who she thought was a talent agency, but ended up being the producers of the show directly. So they invited her to, come
lucky
audition.
Her. Like, how do we stumble upon those kind of mistakes?
Well, lucky her, too. Could have been some creeper. Like, yeah, send me some more pictures of them babies.
That's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like.
So she lucked out there for sure. And so yeah, they had them come and audition. Of course, they're having all kinds of auditions, like cattle call they call them, like probably hundreds of babies auditioning. They were the only babies that didn't cry throughout the whole audition. So, that's basically how they land. You become a billionaire potentially if you don't cry in your audition.
I wonder who the second choice was. Those poor kids. Who are the second choice? What their life could have been?
Yeah, those moms. Like, I bet those moms who took those babies out and now realize the money that they lost out. They probably cursed those kids. To this day.
Yeah.
Whenever the kids don't pick up something in the hallway, it's like
surely
we could have been a billionaire.
And surely they're talented, but they definitely had opportunities. So what could Ted and Charlie doing in the corner? What did they do? Well,
they eventually will have replacements, but we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But of course, Full House would go on to syndication, running 8 seasons with 192 episodes.
Cut it out.
8
seasons?
Yeah.
The OC couldn't even make it 5.
Oh man, well,
I still am baffled by that.
So from 87 to 95. I feel like it went later than 95, but 95 was the cutoff date.
That was pretty much my youth. I feel like it was definitely not 87. That's the year I was born.
Yeah, you're more than a twinkle in your parents' eye.
Wow.
And so It aired basically, before school or after school.
So I was definitely watching reruns, thinking that I was watching it live.
Yeah. Well, when did you watch it primarily? Before school or after school? I was mainly after school.
It was before school. I was watching Barney before school. Like, what were you? Why were you watching Full House before school?
Sometimes it was on in the mornings.
You were out like riding your bike, vandalizing things.
No, sometimes it was in the mornings, but I was mainly watching Scooby-Doo in the mornings. That's usually my go-to.
There you go.
So, but it was part of a lot. They were airing it at all times of the day. Do you have a favorite or memorable episode of Full House that stands out?
Absolutely not. They all blend together.
What?
No, I don't. I do not have this picturesque like memory like you do. It's just all blends together. It was a great show. I mean, I love the characters. I can tell you that the neighbor, what was her name? Kimmy. Loved Kimmy Gibbler. She was great. I mean, Uncle Jesse was always the hot one.
Have mercy.
Have mercy.
Yeah, the whole show was just funny. I don't really have anything in particular.
I mean, out of 192 episodes, like, yes, I could only think of maybe about a handful that I remembered that I don't know if I recall them as memorable or my favorite, I just remember them.
I just always remember like when you would feel awkward when they would have like the heart to heart like family moment and it was like
in the background, the sob music. Yeah.
I'm going to miss you.
I'm gonna miss you too, pal. But I have to put on our bravest face now, okay? We gotta be really brave about this thing, all right? So let me see your brave face. Can you smile for me? Atta girl.
Yeah, and that's when you're like, okay, shit's getting real. Like, where's the heart to heart?
Tanner's
What's
about to
happening?
cry. Yeah.
So that made me feel really awkward because again, I was in that age.
No, I understand. No, mine would be they're all formed around like not tragedy, but like things going wrong. One episode when DJ and Stephanie ram a hole into Danny's wall in his bedroom.
In the basement?
No, in his room.
Oh.
And it's one of like the few times
that room
Danny's
was awesome.
It was like a huge room or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to do the whole drywall.
The two older sisters' room. That was cool.
Yes, they somehow built new rooms in this San Francisco home. Yes, so somehow were added on. That one, the one where I believe it was Stephanie who drove the car through the kitchen window.
I do remember that.
My car! Rosie! This is my punishment for not filling the ice cube tray?
And I think the one where they went to Disney World and DJ kept seeing Steve as Aladdin.
Look at all the guys from Aladdin. Yeah, there's the lamp seller and Princess Jasmine. Steve! Where? Up. In San Francisco.
When he was when it kept confusing
But that's when
me.
they actually filmed like during Disney World hours.
Yes, they were on site in Disney.
Yeah.
But the thing was, he was actually the voice of Aladdin in real life, but like because she kept seeing him like in the show as Aladdin. But the same, you're giving me that look like I'm blowing your mind right now.
Well,
did you know that?
No, well, I don't.
Steve, he's the voice of Aladdin, and so during the run
in the
actual movie, he voiced Aladdin. And so when the Full House was on, and DJ
was like confusion or mind blowing.
I don't know. Your face was confusing for me.
It's the wine.
But I remember that one being one of the more memorable ones because and then he I think he was like Indiana Jones because he's going through like the ride and stuff like that. It was a cool episode.
I remember the Disney episode. I don't know if I remember specifics, but like, yeah, I mean. Yeah.
So that was I just want to talk some of the more memorable ones. Out of 192 episodes, we had to have a couple memorable ones.
I mean, I always liked when Uncle Jesse played his guitar. And, like it was like I liked things about certain characters. I don't remember specific episodes.
Or like when Jesse and I forget what's in Becky. They move into the attic.
The attic was cool. I remember when they had the twins.
If you think about San Francisco Realty, then that's a legit thing. You should just move with your friends and build.
I wonder how much were you paying
build a
rent?
room.
Yeah, just build a compound.
Yeah.
You have like a shotgun lot. Like build a compound. I don't know.
You should do it. It's happening.
Who wants to sign up?
So they the set for the for Full House, they build Friends on. It's the same set that they built Friends on. So that's pretty cool.
Which set? Like the coffee house?
I can believe that. What'd you say?
What?
Sorry,
coffee
that
house?
was my bad Chandler impression.
Yeah, definitely didn't get that.
What?
Awful, I tell you.
Betrayal.
No, ultimate betrayal. I believe we've already talked about.
But so getting back to the Olsen twins, they were credited as Mary Kate Ashley Olsen, all one name basically, in seasons 2 through 7, because the producers didn't want the audiences to know that the Michelle character was played by two different people. So
Why would it matter?
I mean, I don't either. I mean, basically, they're trying to dupe the audience when really they need to be duping the government, because the infant acting, I guess, or not the infant, but they had laws, kid laws that they couldn't.
Child acting laws.
Yeah, child acting laws. They can only act for so many hours or do all that per day, so they split them up. But in the 8th and final season, they got their credentials as Mary Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen. Woo!
Made it to the big leagues.
Only took
I'd
7
be pissed.
seasons.
Like, I feel like as a twin, anyways, you're like looking for your own identity, and not only are you working before you're supposed to be working, but then you have to work under this like assumed alias of like a conjoined. Like, what if they didn't like each other?
That's a very big possibility.
I'd be very upset.
Well, being babies, being only like 6-9 months years old. I keep saying 6-9 months years old. Why do I keep saying it that way?
Because everybody these days is like, my child is 52 months old. It's like, just tell me what's 52 months. I can't do the math that quickly, and I look like an idiot as I'm trying to subtract.
Less than a year old they are, and their acting is not that great, and so they're pretty much crying, ruining all these takes. So John Stamos, Jesse Kasopoulos, is not having it. So he even suggests that let's bring in.
Is John Stamos high maintenance?
Can we bring in some other babies? I mean, did you see that mullet? Of course
He did.
he's high maintenance.
I bet he's been blow drying his hair with gel, hopefully, for a real long time.
Oh yeah, you know it. And so he was done with them, crying, ruining these takes. So they brought in some new redheaded stepchilds, basically.
Did they make it on an episode?
They didn't. They were testing them out to see if they would work. Didn't quite work out. So there's another parent right there who was that close to destiny.
That golden ticket. I've got the golden ticket.
The babies just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So now they're just another set of redheaded.
What if it was like
stepchildren.
Selena Gomez or something?
It could have been. It could have been. So, so they brought him back in. They ended up sticking around. In order to keep them focused on the job at hand, the writers and producers and directors decided they would have Mary Kate Olsen perform the comedy of Michelle and Ashley perform the drama Michelle.
Oh.
So yeah,
That's
so
how
you
they
had two
split the
distinct
tape.
ones. So
then we're saying then Mary Kate was on the TV a lot more than Ashley.
Yeah, so whenever she was delivering her trademark, "You got it, dude. You're in big trouble, mister." You know, those lines. That was.
I did love all the
Mary
scrunchies too. She wore a ton of scrunchies.
Oh yeah, scrunchies galore.
They're back.
You got it, dude.
And Ashley would always be, when Danny Tanner was getting serious and the music would come on.
The acid wash jeans.
Oh yeah, acid wash jeans galore in this whole show. Let's see here. So yes, Mary Kate is left-handed. Ashley is right-handed. So if you pay attention throughout the whole show, you realize that Michelle's watching with both
thanks for
hands.
the information.
I'm just saying, if you pay attention to the show, it looks like Michelle's
I didn't know where
writing
you
with
were
both
going
hands.
with that.
Good Lord.
It's too good. Okay.
Can I continue?
Yes.
Can I finish?
Please
Can I
proceed.
finish? Let's see here. Oh, and also they used Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen used to call their Full House castmates by their character name, so they wouldn't mess up during filming. Which he's a little young age. You got to come up with something. Yeah.
I can only imagine how confusing that must be, because as like a child actor who likes to act and gets into it, they know what they're doing. But as somebody who literally grew up in it, how normal it must feel.
Mm-hmm. Well, they almost quit after the first season because their mom was worried that they weren't going to have a normal childhood.
That they didn't. Far from normal.
I mean, if you're sending pictures to producers or whatever, talent agencies of your baby,
Jeanette,
she hadn't even lost the baby weight, and she was already sending pictures out of her babies to agencies. So
Jarnett or Jeanette
she wasn't
or whatever her name.
She wasn't looking for a normal childhood to begin with.
No,
but the producers offered a big salary raise to keep them around, estimated $25,000 per episode.
Ooh.
She started out. And so I did the little quick math, since I'm a math major.
He crunches numbers all the time.
All day. So 192 episodes at 25,000. That's $4.8 million.
Well, technically, that would only be 191 episodes because they...
or 10 episodes, 180 episodes probably. But also that doesn't account for inflation,
Specials.
New contracts, endorsements, all that stuff. This is just straight up. If they got 25,000 for the entire duration, they would have got 4.8 million. Of course, they turn that into way more. That's just what the
Which that doesn't even
be.
seem like a lot of money.
No,
that's not a lot of money for what that show was.
Well, after the first season, depending like in the way Hollywood works, if your contract is up at the right time, then that's when you can negotiate and make the most. But if you're doing 1-year contracts, especially in a show, you have to wait till that like 4th or 5th season when they're really like, okay, we need your character around, and we're in syndication, so we need to renegotiate. So, but still, 25,000 for that long.
Nice chunk of change for an 8-year-old.
Pretty solid. But I guess in later seasons, fans were beginning to notice the differences between the twins. I guess they preferred Mary-Kate over Ashley, and so they were like,
talk about getting nitpicky.
Yeah, they were like,
they're
like, okay, well, people were they're starting to tell the difference, so we need to replace one of you. So I guess originally the difference between them was the freckle above her a lip. Ashley has a freckle above her lip, so you can tell that she is playing Michelle. I don't know.
I still to this day, anytime I see them, I try to make a nice guess. I have no idea, so I'll pay attention next time.
It took me a while.
I'll give
Even
you guys,
as a kid watching it, I never tried to tell the difference.
Yeah.
But
well, when they were younger, one had more of an oblong face shape, and then one had more of a squared face shape. But now, in their old age, I don't know.
They both got that weird
it's that's like the oblong, it's a really long face shape, and then they have this really long hair. They need some shape.
They got the Derek Zoolander going on. Yeah. But the thing is, John Stamos stepped in. Surprisingly, he had a stake in the show, so he vouched for the two girls to remain on the show despite push from the studio. And
especially despite the fact that he wanted them gone.
Yeah, originally wanted them gone. So
I don't know how I feel about that, Johnny boy.
And like I said, when I watched it originally, I think it took me like halfway through the run of the show before I found out that they're twins and that they're two. I'm like, oh my God. And so because they would start having those episodes where, both Michelle and Mary-Kate and Ashley would be on the same screen at the same time. She had that cousin who wore the wig. The dark
I don't know if
cousin.
I remember that.
You remember?
No.
She was like a foreign cousin.
Oh.
They brought her in for 4 episodes. I don't know if I'm making this up or not, but the ones they had listed was the first one, which the 7-month itch. Let's see, they were a year old on that one. There's a Greek week one. They were 3.5, and the devil made me do it, which I think was that's the one when Mary-Kate and Ashley were 5. And then Michelle Rides Again Part 2, which is the last episode when they were 9. I don't know. I keep thinking that there's a couple episodes where she has this cousin or imaginary friend who shows up and she has this dark wig on because, of course, Michelle's blonde. I don't know.
I mean, very well. Somebody write in the comments. Let's find it. Leave it to the age-old internet.
But, of course, famously, Mary-Kate and Ashley have not gone to any of the reunions.
I just want to know why. I can completely understand if you don't want to relive or whatever, but just say why. Give a brief statement.
Yeah,
why?
None of the reunions. They're not doing the Fuller House on Netflix.
Good for them. That was a great decision.
Yeah, we watched an episode or two of that.
I have no idea. Awful. Just bad.
It's got an audience.
No.
It's on season 3 or something like that.
Geez.
So people are watching it, but I don't
Purely
know.
out of nostalgia, it is not good because Candace Cameron has a ton of movies on what was it, Lifetime, or was it which one? I was watching a lot of Christmas holiday movies.
I think it's Lifetime.
Was it Lifetime? Yeah.
Oh no, it's Hallmark.
Hallmark, yeah, she's the queen of Hallmark.
No,
so
Candace Cameron and
she definitely she can't have a contract for both. I wouldn't think.
Lori Loughlin, who plays Becky,
her.
Her and Candace Cameron both are running the show over at Lifetime and Hallmark on those.
So they're probably not
movies.
dealing with a Netflix. Who knows?
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, they didn't do Fuller House, which people they can do whatever they want. They've made so much money, they don't need to go back and do all that stuff. They're probably trying to separate themselves from Full House because they're
I would.
so into fashion and stuff like that.
I mean, look at Bob Saget. He's kind of a creep.
Bob Saget,
John Stamos is like entertainment.
Bob Saget came out of nowhere and did this comedy special, and like everyone's like, "Oh man, he's raunchy."
He did not come out of nowhere. He was on Entourage. He did not come out of nowhere. He like made a comeback via Entourage.
Yeah. Well, he had at the same time he was doing this comedy special that people who didn't know that he was a raunchy comedian before being on the show, who then found out through this comedy show that Bob Saget has got a dirty ass
family
mouth.
friendly. Yeah. So I could definitely see why they. I mean, you don't want to be guilty by association because then you got John Stamos who's doing like Entertainment Tonight, and then you got two ladies over on the Hallmark. You got one that was like addicted to heroin. Like, so
true.
I mean, it's not really that good company.
It's quite the family. It's not the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
But so the girls during the whole run of the show, during the second season, they began appearing and doing their own films and videos for TV.
This is what I love.
So yes.
I mean, Full House is like where they got it, but my obsession is after Full House.
So 1992 during the
my prime.
During Full House, yes, they came out with their first ABC family movie. To Grandmother's House We Go.
March your twin behinds back into your twin bed.
It's Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Hello.
What are you rugrats doing in here?
We're trying to get to Grandma's.
Rhea Perlman and Jerry Van Dyke join the Olsen Twins in a Christmas adventure.
Stop those girls!
For the entire family.
Do you know Santa Claus?
We're in the Army together.
Are you making this up?
To Grandmother's House We Go.
Yes. And I don't know why when I think of this movie, I always think of like the Ernest. Isn't there Ernest like gets lost in the woods
Ernest
or something?
Saves Christmas?
No.
Ernest goes to
I kind of
camp?
like mesh them all together. But no, I did love To Grandmother's House We Go. That one has a ton of good sing-alongs.
Yeah, and they have a lot of cameos from people in Full House. Bob Saget, Lori Loughlin, Becky. We just talked about Candace Cameron's in it. Jerry Van Dyke and Rhea Perlman.
Can you believe this fucking guy doesn't know who Donnie DeVito is?
Well, you mean the singer?
No, the fucking actor, Donnie DeVito, the guy who was married to Rhea Perlman.
Oh, I like him in Hellboy.
That's Ron Perlman.
Any relation to the Lou Pearlman?
No Lou Pearlman. It's in the film also was an unexpected success on ABC Family. So they
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like ABC Family. That's where I had to have watched them all because ABC Family, I feel like, had just come out. And I watched other few shows on there. Like, it was my obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, so the movie created a lot of demand at that point because they're kind of putting it out there as like a regular ABC Family. But when it got a lot of good ratings and everything, so it created demand for more of these movies. So before they started creating some more movies, the Olsen Twins in 1993 created their own entertainment group called Dual Star. So yes, it's a production company that makes their movies, TV shows, their magazines, video games.
Who came up with the idea for that?
Oh,
their
parents.
Yeah,
I mean, they had the finances. They were making the money, but of course, mom and dad were, making those decisions.
Child labor.
So yeah, so they created this production company of based in Los Angeles. Like I said, did the movies, video games, etc. Everything, the products. So they produced their next movie, which was Double Toil and Trouble, 1993.
Classic Ghouls and Goblins.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of these, so you might be filling us in on these.
I mean, you know me, I don't really I remember them, and I remember loving them, and I remember the joy that they gave me.
Were these was this, since it was like a holiday movie, was it something they showed in like your classroom, like
Hell
during
no,
Halloween?
I went to a Catholic school.
Right, I forget.
It was not Jesus related.
So
negative. So that's why I'm saying ABC Family.
Shell Dog was putting it on for you at home.
I had cable.
Cable. All right.
I was just like begging my parents for cable so I can watch it up in my room by myself. But my dad was unwilling to run a wire on the outside of his brick home, and I could not understand that for the life of me.
Up the side of the house.
Like, Dad, just drill a hole.
Oh, we drilled. If you go in my house, there's like at least 8 drilled holes that shouldn't be there.
No.
My dad and I are just drilling holes to get cables everywhere to my room, my sister's room.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kenneth was very unwilling to drill in his foundation, so I'm gonna.
I
have
don't
to take
blame
over
him.
that.
Yeah,
No, I blame him. I wanted a telephone.
That's what's
I
happening
wanted a
right now.
cordless phone, and I wanted
A cordless phone.
my own TV so I can watch my Olsen Twins.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you just let it out now. Just
And then
vent it
later
out
on,
now.
like MTV Spring Break and things like that. But yeah,
one day.
one day. Why would you not give a 10-year-old her own landline? Like, why not?
So many good things can happen from there. So the next one that we're getting into is how the West was fun in 1994.
Ish, remember it?
That's the one I feel like I see the most.
Really?
You know, like in regards to like the pictures or the references people put out there. I feel like this is the picture they put out the most. The how the West was fun.
See, I like the later movies.
It was like peak. Would you say that's peak Olsen's, or does it get later on?
Well, it depends on what your era is. I mean, that's like peak like Innocence Olsen's, where again it's like brothers are for sale for only 50 cents.
Brother for sale, only 50 cents.
They're coming out with their cassettes. They don't quite have their makeup line yet, so they're like Innocence is still true. They're coming off of Full House, and then when they get into the 2000s, they start wearing the crop top. They get their makeup line going. They start crimping their hair.
Quite the
yeah. The jeans get a little tighter. The heels get a little higher. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's
they aged.
They did, and well, like you said, we did how the West was fun ~94. And then we'll go to 98 with Billboard Dad. Don't worry, we're doing a couple of movies a little bit later. Billboard Dad, 1998.
Liked it.
And then Passport to Paris.
Liked it.
So this is when they start getting into, like you said, their transformation into teenagers.
Yes, the tween age.
They start having more love interests in their storylines. Our Lips Are Sealed in
Liked
2000. That one was like, I read the premise for that one. They're undercover, or they need to go in witness protection. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Are these movies that are fun to you? They show these on Disney Channel or
ABC Family.
They kept showing those on ABC
Well,
Family?
I mean, it's probably Disney, ABC. Like there was like a ton of those like kid TV channels, you know, like Kid Discovery, Kid ABC Family.
You're right.
Like
You're right.
they're all the same to me. I don't know. It was just a kid channel. Like I have no idea. Like,
I'm sorry.
all I gotta do is like scroll to the thing and find it. You know.
Yeah, you're right. And then Winning London in 2001. And Holiday in the Sun 2000. Another one 2001. So they were working hard. 2001.
Pumped them. See, this is when I was going to Blockbuster with Lauren, and then we were picking them out. Like she was way into it with me too.
Picking out 3 movies at a time. 3 or 4 movies. Getting There in 2002. When in Rome 2002. And then The Challenge in 2003.
Oh, those were all straight to DVD.
Yeah. That's the category that we're in. Okay. So now we're getting into the box office ones, the ones that were released in the theaters. And the first one of my personal favorites that we actually watched not too long ago. It's on Netflix. It Takes Two.
Ah, great movie.
Back in 1995.
Daddy! Who is she?
She's gonna be your new mother.
Drop the bat, let's go!
Just let me smash this ball downtown! But what I see is me. I see me too.
I'm the woman of the house, and you're off to a year-round boarding school.
Now a couple of identical strangers have decided to play matchmaker.
Guys like him like girls with food names. Cookie, Muffin. They don't marry girls like me.
But before they can get them to live happily ever after,
We simply mustn't wait another day.
To what?
To be married!
they'll have to ditch the big bad witch, Kirstie Alley, Steve Guttenberg, and the Olsen twins, Mary Kate and Ashley. It Takes Two.
With the Gutenberg.
The Goot.
Kirstie Alley and her
Kirstie
finest.
Alley, yeah,
that food fight. Who doesn't want that food fight?
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that macaroni and cheese food fight.
Food fight. Or like the standing at the step. Just kiss already.
The Gutenberg, Officer Mahoney from Police Academy. Did you watch the Police Academy?
I mean, ish.
What about Cheers? Did you see Kirstie Alley in Cheers?
Yeah.
Did you know that she's from Wichita?
Yeah. Oh, no, I did not.
She is.
Actually, maybe I did know that.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know, she's in and out of fame. I remember in mid-2000s, it was like this big thing. Like, she was heavy set or whatever. So
Dating
like,
John Travolta, maybe? Oh. Did she date John Travolta?
When they did Look Who's Talking, I think.
Okay. Maybe they kissed on the lips or something.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure John Travolta's kissing on her lips, for sure. And then let's see, and of course the Olsen Twins, and this is another one that was the first box office movie that was produced by the Dual Star Company.
Oh.
So yeah.
The butt kiss. She's going to be Amanda Buttkiss. Like, yeah, it's just a great, good old, as you say, good old classic fun. Yeah. Oh, wait. Were they? No, that was Lindsay Lohan. I was like, what was the other?
Are you thinking Freaky Friday?
No. What was the other Lindsay Lohan? So Lindsay Lohan then was in 2 switched movies because it was It Takes Two, and then there was one where, God, what is the one where they switch places at camp?
That's not Lindsay Lohan.
Who is that?
The Olsen Twins that we're talking about.
No, that's Lindsay Lohan. This is a different switch at camp.
Oh, I don't know then.
Oh, shoot.
You got me.
I got to Google it.
You Google that.
Okay.
But the movie itself, I couldn't find a budget for it, so I don't know how much it was made for. I imagined the way it was produced, and they had that whole New York scene.
Do you think the Gutenberg is in this one too?
I have no idea. I'm guessing the budget was at least $15 to $20 million.
The Parent Trap.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And the movie only made $19 million.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Even though this was the heyday of VHS and
I bet it made more on VHS.
Rentals. Yeah. So it made some money back. I don't think it made enough for the production company to be happy.
Yeah.
8% on Rotten Tomatoes. So not so great. And then Kevin Thomas from LA Times called a predictable but fun romp.
Agreed.
And Roger Ebert called it a harmless and fitfully amusing with numbingly predictable plot.
What do you
expect
out of like the main characters are these 2 12-year-olds, you know? Like, come on, people.
No, it's fun for what it is. I enjoy it. It's a good summertime. It's another camp movie that you know, it takes you back. It makes you want to go to camp
and play ball in the street.
Yeah. And have macaroni
Chew a
food
big
fights.
red or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely It Takes Two, even though it wasn't the box office smash, still a favorite in this household. And the next one, 2004, New York Minute.
You know, they say it's a city that never sleeps.
Oh, I think it will now that you've hit town, Gomer.
Warner Brothers Pictures presents
Twins.
Hi! We haven't spent the day together in years.
Mary-Kate Olsen, Ashley Olsen, Eugene Levy.
Woo! Going down!
Snap out of it.
New York Minute.
I enjoyed this one as well.
I have never seen 1 minute of this movie.
So this was, I feel like, their like last demise.
This is literally their last demise. It's the last time they acted together.
I mean, so this is what I was saying, where they bust out the crop tops, they crimp their hair, they're into boys, they get kidnapped. The acting is real bad. They realize maybe they should switch gears a little bit. But all in all, and equally, like they said earlier, predictable and fun romp.
Well, it was made for $30 million in 2004.
Ooh.
It made $23 million.
Wow.
Not great.
Well, I mean, it made $23 million.
That's not good.
But it made enough people went to see it that it made $23 million.
That's
again, I'm pretty sure I watched it on ABC Family.
It's a great pat on the back for anybody for the movie. But if you're putting money into it, and if you want to make another one, you need to make at least 60 to 70 million to even be like,
it was not their best.
A success.
It was pretty much them just like running around. If I'm remembering this correctly, it was them running around New York City in like crop top shirts and jeans, like flare jeans, with this like rat looking dog, like trying to escape these people.
Feels like a Paris Hilton movie is what it should have been.
Yeah, pretty much. She could be. Yeah.
The Paris sisters or the Hilton sisters could have been swapped in for it.
Absolutely.
Basically. That's what it sounds like. Roger Ebert, of course, another one, gave it 2 thumbs down. So not so great. 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. only earning $5.9.6 million domestically in this first weekend. 14 million in America first weekend or overall, 7 million international. So that only gave it 23
And
million.
usually the international love American theater.
I mean, it barely made half the money came from international. So, yeah, the million sounds great. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of people. That's a lot of tickets sold, but not enough.
23 million, you say?
23 million.
Yeah.
But like you said, it is the last time that they would appear together on film. The film was such a box office bomb that the dual star company suffered major financial losses and was laid dormant for a little bit.
Did Dual Star do the one with Katherine Heigl, Wish Upon a Star?
No. This is they didn't create this until like 2004 or something like that. So they lay dormant, but the sisters became co-presidents of Dual Star on their 18th birthday in 2004. So upon taking control of the company, Mary-Kate and Ashley made moves to secure the future of the company by releasing products that appeal to teen marketing.
This was
home
me.
Decoration and fragrances.
Oh yeah, you head to Walmart, you go pick up I literally just threw away some glitter eyeshadow that I had bought like back in the day. Probably filled with bacteria, but I couldn't get rid of it. But their makeup line, that like their scrunchies, their outfits, their shoes, like everything. Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, like you said, they made the move. They're just like, okay, well, we're taking over this dormant company that's lost money through our movies, and they realized that most of the money is coming through their their brand.
They're
basically.
pretty much the reason why I was exclusive to Limited 2 in the early 2000s. Like, pretty exclusive.
Yeah, they got you.
Yeah, they're my style icons for that age. If you look back, I got it all.
Well, it's a fabulous marketing ploy because it's worked out because they had the brand going into it, and so they just kind of pivoted. I would still purchase anything that they're seen wearing it. Yeah, I mean they were done with the movies. That market was done. They had done everything they could, so they pivoted over to the merchandise and the fashion and the cosmetics and stuff like that.
Great. It was so great.
Yeah, but while before they really got into that, they had the fan club.
I believe I really wanted to be in that too.
Were you part of the?
I wanted to be in this one, and I wanted to be in the Backstreet Boys fan club. That's where you send the money in and do all that good jazz. You get the free, not free concert tickets. You get access codes to the concert. That's when you had to go buy your concert tickets at the grocery store counter.
Old school.
Yeah, you couldn't buy them online.
You couldn't buy them from a robot.
Which I tried to go the other day to buy. I think it was Circus Olay tickets or something at the grocery store, and they didn't sell them. They don't do it anymore. It's a thing of the past, which was a very sad realization.
It is sad. But until 2000, the Mary-Kate and Ashley Fun Club is where they were people would pay to receive collectibles and photos. Mm-hmm. Each subscription included an issue of Our Funzine, like a magazine, I guess. Mary-Kate and Ashley's Fan Club magazine, exclusively available through the club and collectible catalog. T-shirts, posters, baseball caps, school folders, postcards, and all kinds of various items.
Because that was definitely the day that you had all that.
Yeah, you need it. I mean, you basically got your school supplies delivered to you. That all subscribers will also receive surprise gifts. Key rings, books, excerpts.
So they gave a surprise key ring, but then they also gave keychains above.
Hey, you never know. You need one or the other. Lyric sheets to Mary-Kate and Ashley's songs. School folders, of course. Membership card. All kinds of stuff. They advertised at the beginning of Mary-Kate movies. Did you ever remember? Do you remember the advertisement?
Oh, yeah.
To get the latest scoop on the Olsens and tons of great stuff sent to you, be sure to join the twins' very own official fan club, Mary-Kate and Ashley's Fun Club.
I mean, how else at that day do you know that this stuff exists?
Was it a jingle? I've never seen it. Is it a jingle of some sort?
I don't remember.
I'll have to find it.
I mean, I definitely it was probably in the cassette packaging for sure. When you open up the cassette, that paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They have it in there.
Yeah.
So, of course, they knew their brand. So their names and likeness were extended to not only movies and videos, but to the clothes, shoes, purses, hats, books, CDs, cassette tapes, fragrances.
Everything.
Everything. Even Mattel produced various sets of Mary-Kate and Ashley.
They were the
fashion
Kardashians
dolls.
Before the Kardashians.
They were.
pretty much.
2000, 2005, they had their own dolls.
Yeah.
Mary-Kate and Ashley are really cool. It would be so much fun to hang out with them. We can!
They're twins, looking so cool. Mary-Kate and Ashley gonna have fun now. Riding horses with Mary-Kate, she hits the trail with style. Ashley loves to dance ballet. She turns and twirls all day. Now we're getting in our PJs for a sleepover. Cause it's
Party time! So did we hear sleepover?
cool fun with Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Mary-Kate and Ashley dolls come with 3 outfits and lots of stuff, each sold separately.
So yeah, you're right. They literally were before social media.
They had their brand.
They're the go-to ladies.
Yeah.
And then so the last part is their fashion career. We've talked about throughout their time being, moguls in one way or another. They had a girls line from ages 4 to 14 in Walmart across America called Mary-Kate and Ashley Real Fashion for Real Girls.
In which we just extensively went over.
I'm just saying. It was in Walmart at that time.
I know. I remember.
But in 2004, they have gotten some news for, I guess, allowing full maternity leave for workers who sew their line of clothing in Bangladesh.
That's great.
Very humanitarian of them. Let's see. As sisters, as they matured, they expressed greater interest in their fashion choices, with the New York Times declaring Mary-Kate a fashion icon for pioneering the signature and now popular homeless look.
The hobo.
The hobo.
Yeah. Hobo look was in. I mean, it still is in.
I remember that becoming the
now
fashion.
It's called Bohemian.
Bohemian, yes, that was another name they credited. I remember that, and even like in TV shows. I think it was in Always Sunny. I can't remember if Always Sunny or Arrested Development. I think one of the sisters, they mistaken this guy on the street for a hobo, but he ends up being an actor who's just dressed like he's dressing like.
I mean, that's the real honest truth. Like every time I try to look a little bit more like hobo chic, like I look like I just rolled out of bed. The only girls that can really get along, and I don't know how they do, maybe they like rock some stiletto heels, but like tall girls that are super skinny that can wear all that good stuff. Because my shortness
the Coachella
over here.
girls basically.
Yeah, they have the whole look head to toe. Because if you don't have the whole look head to toe, you're just looking ragged.
Yeah, you can't go half-ass with it. You gotta go full throttle.
I'm just trying to. There's this.
Would you have to shop like Anthropology for all this stuff? Basically,
Anthropology. I mean, you got Urban Outfitters. Like that's when you're definitely spending some cash. The true hipsters probably just go to the Goodwill down the street, but
true hipsters are using their parents' money to buy a $45 white T-shirt at Anthropology.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So they're basically been credited for creating that, basically the fashion trend.
I believe it.
I mean, because they did. You would see them in these like fashion shoots back in the mid-2000s. Like, what are they wearing? And this is when we're all just wearing like my button-up Abercrombie T-shirt,
and that's when it's like the low rise. Like all the girls are looking to get like their thongs out of their jeans.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, no, I definitely was trying to be Mary-Kate and Ashley. I still am to this day trying to. I would, again, wear anything that they wear.
Well, they do say the bohemian style consists of oversized sunglasses, boots, loose sweaters, flowing skirts, an aesthetic mixing of high-end and low-end pieces.
Which is why it is not, I mean, not that aspect, but like the oversized, bulky, chunky, like somebody at 5'2" stature definitely does not look good in that. Those things are not.
A little bit further.
Yeah, no. You would look really good. You're 6'1".
Yeah, but I'm not as skinny as I probably should be.
You have a good chunky sweater.
I got a good chunky something for sure. The Olsens have also launched their own couture fashion label, The Row, named after Savile Row in London.
Who's Savile Row?
I have no idea. So in 2007, they launched Elizabeth and James, a contemporary collection
I've heard of that one.
inspired by many of their unique vintage finds and pieces in their personal wardrobes.
Ooh.
So they
See,
got a
that's
couple
the one I would
lines.
like. Also, did you know Justin Timberlake has a clothing line?
Of course he does. What I don't know. What is it?
I forget the name of it, but it looks you would like it.
Well, I'm sure they look very close to a lot of other clothing lines, but if JT's part of it, I'm in.
I'm in too.
They also released a women's clothing line for JCPenney for us
JCPenney.
common folk called Olsen Boy, and t-shirt line called Stylement.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know about those names, but I think
Olsen Boy?
I think they definitely went generic with the names on top of the brand.
Stylement is fine.
And then in 2008, the Sisters published a book, Influence, a compilation of interviews with many of the most prominent people in the field of fashion. August 2013, the twins launched a new fashion line in Oslo, Norway, going back to their Norwegian background.
Scandinavian.
A little Viking action.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the Olsens, the first women's wear designer of the year. They won Women Designer of the Year by the Council of Fashion Designers for the row in 2012 and received it again in 2015. So they are legitimately winning awards, and they've made a name for themselves.
I mean, and I'm kind of jealous because I would stalk them so hard if they were all over social media. But you have to give it to them. Like, they're not out there. Like, they live a very quiet life. Like, one of them married a 70-year-old man and chain smokes all day long. Like, they got married and had like bowls of cigarettes. They're just, I don't know. I just, they're very weird, I hear.
Well,
but I
into
definitely want to hang out with them.
Their connection to the Heath Ledger death.
Oh, because she was dating him.
They were together. I think the prescriptions, I'm not sure if like all of them were his. Maybe she. And I'm totally going off of like speculation and what I kind of remember. So I may be saying this incorrectly, but I remember they had some sort of connection, and it wasn't like anything like criminal-esque.
Yeah, I just choose not to listen. She was not there. She is like too pure to like deal with that. Like, let's just forget.
I just remember the names being thrown in the mix somehow, and I'm like, and everybody would always at that time too was kind of would always bring up like, since they looked so skinny in pictures, they looked frail, they looked weird in pictures. Like, oh, they're deaf. The Olsen twins are on drugs.
I just want them to be on social media is all I want, so I can literally see what their inside lives like. Heidi Klum shares her life a lot. Like, where are they?
They weren't on social media.
Yeah, they're nowhere to be found. Like, they're very hush hush.
Their brands are still this hugely popular, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to do any sort of like posts or whatever.
Yeah, not personally.
Oh, I'm sure the brands have. Yes, the brands have.
They pay someone. But they hired that somebody.
Normally, they're like, if you're a face to your brand, that's what they want you. They're like, hey, since you're the face of this, basically, why don't you have an Instagram?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how crazy it is that they're like, that they're only a little weird and smoke cigarettes and like marry a 6-year-old man. Like, that's very normal for being
whatever. If you've been rich and famous since you're 6 months, you're old.
And they're off of social media. Yeah. They're 72 months old. No, but they're off of social media. Like, they live in the city. They're maybe single. I'm not sure. But, like, they have a buttload of money. They live a great, life.
Yeah. And like we talked about, like, they're on the list of one of the wealthiest women in the entertainment industry. Most of the fortune comes from the dual star company that we talked about. So it still produces a lot of the, the not memorabilia, but merchandise.
ABC Family.
ABC Family probably chips in as well. Their fashion empire is estimated $1 billion.
Dang, and I don't think I own a single thing. I need to figure out.
And so they've been on a list of America's Next Billionaires.
Yep.
Considered one of the most popular businesswomen in the world, and of course, Celebrity 100 Forbes list, things like that. So just finding success at a young age. Not falling into that child actor, burden where you can get caught up in all kinds of craziness.
Associating themselves with the right people.
Yeah. And like their parents too. Parents had a good head on their shoulders. Like, they probably invested their money wisely. Yes, it probably sounded weird. They started this whole production company when their babies are like barely a year old, but it turned out to be a great investment with the money that they were making. So yeah, they had good investment. They had seemed like good parents who were leading them in the right way. So, and of course, just having that automatic branding from Full House and transitioning that into movies, the direct-to-videos, and then to merchandise, and now into just full-on fashion. Like, they transition with their fans. Like, as you got older, they're getting into things that you liked.
Why do you think I'm obsessed with them?
Exactly. Yeah. They did it right. Is
like,
what I'm
Jonathan
saying.
Taylor Thomas didn't transition with us. He went back to college. Like, he needs to come back.
I mean, he probably did his own thing. That was personal.
But if he could have
decision,
made money behind the scenes and still been there, like, we get to see the Olsen twins every once in a while in a magazine, and I stare at their outfits for like 10 minutes. Yeah. So, Olsen twins for the win, man. I love them to death.
They did it right. Yeah. I mean, none of us have any right to judge them for whatever they do now. They made a shit ton of money over these years.
We don't know what they do now.
They can do whatever they want with it. do whatever life they want with it. They've been able to do it, and we just outlined basically how they got to that point, which is pretty cool. We're doing
I would also love to know their skincare routine.
Oh, I'm sure it's top of the line.
Yeah.
I mean, them and Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise,
getting the same.
No, you
skin line.
cannot tell me that Jennifer Aniston is using Aveeno. She definitely is not using Aveeno.
True,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, if she's doing those,
Unless Aveeno is paying for her chemical peels, but
I mean, she just had her, I think, 50th birthday this week. Yeah. It's crazy because when we were younger, when you think 50, growing up in the Midwest, 50 is looks a little bit different than maybe in West Hollywood.
Very nice way to put it. Yeah.
50s looks a little bit different.
Love you, Mom and Dad.
A little more weathered in the Midwest. But nowadays, when you see 50, you're like, that person, they look like they could be 40.
Yeah. So Mary-Kate and Ashley need to stop smoking those cigarettes
Yeah,
so they
they
can
do.
look like Jen Aniston when
That's
she's
one thing
at
I do
50.
remember them being heavy on the cigarettes.
Yeah.
So,
like I'm saying, when she got married, she had bowls of cigarettes at her wedding. Like instead of people putting like their
That was a
initial
for real
instead
thing?
of people putting their initials on like M&Ms and stuff, they had bowls of cigarettes at their wedding.
That's kind of gross.
Isn't it disgusting? Yeah, but I love them still.
No, I mean, it's whatever. One little knock. It's billionaires can do whatever the hell they want.
I'm sure I do weirder stuff.
Exactly. And if you had money like they do, definitely do weirder stuff than that.
Yeah. Weirder, more weird. Weirder, more weird.
I don't know. Stupidest?
Stupider.
Stupidest? I don't know.
More stupid?
I don't know. But,
We are college graduates.
Well, babe, thanks again for rocking it out.
Glad I
Like
could
you
fill
said,
in. This was my
you,
excellent
again,
topic.
were perfect for this demographic.
Love it.
They locked you in for a lifetime.
This was my childhood.
It was.
Yeah.
I think last time I went back, I did see a few Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen VHSs.
Oh
in
yeah,
your
my
stack.
mom still gets them. She picks them up at like Salvation Armies. Like we gotta get on that level.
We'll have to get them out.
Yeah, or start watching ABC. Excuse me, Freeform now.
Freeform now,
Ugh.
yeah. We'll see.
Rest in peace, ABC Family.
For sure. But all right. Well, then everyone else, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. Subscribe and rate us on all podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Infirmary Media Podcast Network. Also, follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Be Kind Rewind Pod for all your nostalgic needs. So thanks, and be excellent to each other.
Toodles.
You're listening to
Infirmary Media.
Did you hear that? Infirmary Media.
Infirmary.
Is anybody there?
Docking complete.